Well, hello there. This is Mr. Flynn. With the snow days we had this week, I've already kind of fallen behind in my classes. So what I want to do is go do the introduction via video for my Track B students. So when you come in on Monday, we can start fresh. So just get through some of the housekeeping stuff to begin with. My classroom expectations, I don't like to call them rules because if you guys have had Mr. Flynn before as a teacher, you know that I'm not one for rules, but expectations, I'm all about expectations. My first expectation is to be on time. Whether you're at home learning or whether you're at school, I do all my talking at the beginning of class. I explain everything you need to do. I do my lectures at the beginning of class. So if you're going to be late, you're going to miss things that are important. You're not going to know what's going on in class. And so it's very important to be here on time all the time, especially since we don't have a lot of classes to work with. I want to make sure you're getting the most value out of your class time. Come to class prepared. Make sure that you have all materials that you're going to need. If you're doing your work on a laptop or a phone or a tablet, make sure you have those and make sure they're fully charged. I use Teams to do all my teaching. All my notes are on Teams. All the assignments are on Teams. So coming to class every day with a computer, laptop, your phone, your tablet, the key is to have them fully charged because they're not going to do any good if you don't have them charged. So make sure you charge those every day. So be prepared. I guess if you were to sum up my class expectations in one word, I would use the word respect. To me, respect goes a long way in and outside of the school. First of all, I want you to respect my classroom. When you come into my classroom, you'll see that there's lots of projects and items that students have made in the past. The biggest of those items would be the Holocaust Memorial. The Holocaust Memorial was built about 10 years ago by my 11-3 history class, and I want to make sure that you're not damaging it, putting things on it. It holds a lot of sentimental value to me as well because the student who built it tragically died in a car accident about 6 months after finishing it, and it's become a bit of a memorial to him, Mark Bishop, as well. So I want to make sure that you're not doing anything to ruin it, you're not banging on it, you're not leaving garbage in it. That would make me very disappointed. There's many other items that students have made over the years. I don't want you playing with them. I don't want you touching them. I don't mind you asking me questions about them. I'll be happy to answer questions about them, but please leave them where they are because there's someone else's work and it's stuff I kept because I really, really liked it. Respect others in my classroom. I'm assuming everyone wants to pass my course, especially if you're in my grade 11 history classes because you need those courses to graduate. So if people in the class are trying to get their work done, they're trying to pay attention, they're working on assignments or they're working on something, leave them alone. Let's not make lots of noise. Let's not distract them from getting their work done because they want to pass. They want to get a good mark. So allow them that quiet to work. The biggest thing to respect in my class is to respect yourself. If you sit in any of my classes all semester and say, I can't, you are going to be 100% right. Everyone I teach is capable of getting at least a 60 in all my classes. If you work hard, you ask questions, you get help when you need it. Just believe in yourself because I believe in you. That's not just cliche. Everyone I teach is capable of passing the course they're in if they work hard and they believe in themselves. It's simple as that. You can do it. I believe in you. When it comes to music and games in the classroom, while I'm lecturing, while I'm teaching, while you're working on assignments and things like that, you should be focused on those assignments. Especially when I'm teaching or showing a video, you shouldn't be on your phones playing games. You shouldn't be listening to music. You shouldn't have earphones in and that sort of thing. Now, once I'm done lecturing and you're working on your assignments on your own, if you want to listen to music because it helps you focus on the assignment better, I don't mind that, as long as you are not making the music so loud that I can hear it through your headphones at the front of the class. So keep it quiet, but if you need the music to help you focus, by all means do that. If you're done all your work and you want to play a game for a brain break, I don't mind that. But if you're not done your work, you shouldn't be doing anything else in my class except your social studies work or your history work, whichever class you're in. It's important. You'll get much better marks if you use your class time to do your schoolwork rather than to socialize and play games and that sort of thing. Food and drink in the classroom. I don't mind if you eat and drink in the classroom, as long as garbage goes in the garbage can. It's not distracting to anybody else in the classroom. By all means, eat and drink. I get hungry in class as well, and I have to eat something every once in a while. I'm diabetic, so every once in a while I'm crunching on a granola bar as well in case my blood sugar's low. But I like to have a drink of water, a drink of my Diet Coke while I'm teaching sometimes as well. The only caveat I'll put on this is during red phase, I don't want people eating in the classroom. It's just sometimes more of an excuse to take your masks off in class during red phase. So during red phase and orange phase, actually, for that matter, when you have to keep your mask on all the time, I don't want any eating in the classroom. Drinking is fine because you can lift your mask up and take a drink, but eating, you pretty well have to take your mask off in order to eat. But if you can eat with your mask on, by all means, do that. But otherwise, I want you keeping your mask on at all times while we're in the red zone and while we're in the orange zone, just to keep everyone safe. And it helps us keep the school open, so you're not doing learning from home all the time. Fire alarms and lockdown. If the fire alarm sounds, of course, that's indicating whether it's a drill or whether there's really a fire. I'm going to go out the door first. I'm going to lock it on my way out. We're going to go out the door and we're going to turn right. And then we're going to go out the doors to the bus loading zone. Then we're going to turn left once we get to the sidewalk of the bus loading zone and head down to the student parking lot. While we're there, you're going to stand quietly while I take attendance, make sure everyone got out, and then we'll be waiting either to go back in if it's a drill or what our next move is if it's an actual fire. If you are not in the classroom when the fire alarm rings, don't try to make your way to where we will be in the parking lot. Go out the nearest exit and go to with the nearest class. Make sure you tell the teacher you're with that you're in Mr. Flynn's class, and they can inform the office where you are, so I'm not thinking that you're still in the school and it could possibly be on fire. If we go into a lockdown situation, I will turn off the lights. I'll lock the door, and we'll all sit on the floor in the back left corner of the classroom. I'll also make sure that the window shades are closed on my window, and we will sit there quietly, and it's very important to be quiet, whether it's a drill or whether it's a real thing, but you'll sit there quietly until someone from law enforcement comes and unlocks the door for us and lets us know that it is okay. Those are very important things. I know that the chance that something like this that happens in our area is hopefully slim, but it's good to practice, and it's good to keep those good habits in mind when we're in a lockdown. So that's the expectations of the course or of my class. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the course outline, what the expectations are for the class, and what you need to do in order to do very well in the class. Okay? Okay, 11-3 Modern History students, I want to go over what your course is going to look like for this semester. Because I have a lot fewer classes with you this year because of COVID than I normally do, I'm teaching this course in a little bit different manner. Instead of how I used to, giving you 2 or 3 assignments a week and covering 100% of the curriculum, I've whittled the curriculum down to about 80 to 90% of the information, but I'm going to focus on the 6 skills, that historical thinking concept skills that you need to know to be successful outside of history. If you had me in grade 10 or Mr. Meservier, you're already familiar with the historical thinking concept skills, so this will just be expanding on your knowledge of those. It's important that if you're at home, I'm always going to leave you work to do at home. It's not busy work, it's work that pertains to the assignment you'll be doing each week. History 11-3 consists of a total of 15 assignments, no tests, no exams, and each week you'll get 1 assignment. So it's important that you get that assignment done each week. And I'll talk a little bit more about assignments here shortly. But regardless, if I give you a video that you need to watch when you're at home, that's not busy work. The video is going to help you with your assignment. If I say, hey, work on this assignment while you're home, that's not busy work. It's going to help you be successful on your assignment that'll be due at the end of each week. If you have troubles with your assignments, of course, when you come to class, you're going to talk to me and ask me questions, because if I ask you, is everything okay, and you say yes when it's not, I can't help you. That's why they pay me $2 an hour to make sure I can help you. So here's what the course will look like. As you know, as I've tried to drill it into you in previous years, whether it's grade 10 or whether it's Mr. Meservey in grade 10, it's important to understand history, to understand where we are today. A lot of the problems we have in our world today stem from events that happened in history over the past 150 years, so 150, 200 years, and even further back. So it's important to understand these events so we can help to solve these problems again, or so they don't repeat themselves. That's the worst, especially the worst parts of history. We do not want them repeating themselves. So the 6 historical thinking concept skills that you're going to be learning this semester are historical significance, historical perspectives, ethical dimensions of history, cause and consequence, primary source evidence, and continuity and change. And I already talked to you about those in the previous, or I will talk to you about those in more detail following this video. We're going to be looking at 5 units in the course. We'll be looking first at the Industrial Revolution, followed by World War I, Rise of Dictators, World War II, and the Holocaust. Each of those units is going to have 3 assignments. That's where you get the 15 assignments from. The assignments for each of the historical thinking concepts are going to be worth almost 17% each. So that's why it's important that you do every assignment, because if you miss one assignment, that could be 8% of your mark gone, just like that. And so that's why it's important to do your work every day in class. It's important to come to class, as I mentioned previously, prepared and ready to work, and use your class time and your home time effectively. If you do all that, you're going to be fine in this class. Now, the way my assignments work, or the course works, every Monday and Tuesday I'm going to lecture, Monday to one track, Tuesday to the next track, and then I'm going to give you an assignment. That assignment will be due at the end of the week. So next week when you come in, you're going to get an assignment on the Industrial Revolution at the end of the lecture, and it'll be due Friday next week. However, if for some reason aliens come in and steal your homework or something like that, and you need extra time to get your work done, I will give you a 1-week grace period. So the assignment that I give you next week, even though it's due Friday next week, you'll still have an extra week to get it done. However, once that second Friday goes by, you cannot hand that assignment in. It is a permanent 0, or a semi-permanent 0, and I'll talk more about that here in a minute. So that's why it's important to use your class time to your advantage. That's why it's important to ask questions, so you can do as well as you can right off the bat. So with 15 assignments, or 1 assignment a week, that covers 15 weeks of the course. There's about 16 and a half weeks in this course. The last week and a half of 11.3 history, you will not get any new work from me whatsoever. That'll be used to help you improve your mark. If during that last week and a half you're passing and you have the ability to go back and choose one assignment, redo it, get full value on it, up to full value, and improve your mark. If you're failing at the end of the semester in that last week and a half, you'll have the ability to go back and choose up to 3 assignments, redo them, I'll mark them at full value, and try to get yourself to a 60. Now this is where you have to be careful. 15 assignments, if you decide that if you don't hand in 6 of those 15 assignments and you are failing, you still are only allowed to choose 3. You can't go back and do all 6. So that's why it's important to do your work as we go, because if you dig too big of a hole, even if you do redo 3 assignments, you're going to have a hard time getting to a pass mark. So it's important to do every assignment when I assign them and get them in by the due date. Very, very important. Okay? So as usual, as I mentioned already, if you have questions, come see me during DSB, ask me during class, because after Monday and Tuesday's lectures, you have the rest of the week to work on the assignment. And I can go around and help you individually. So important that you ask questions, as I've said many, many times so far. On Monday when you come in, Track B, we're going to be getting right into the Industrial Revolution, so come here prepared to work. Make sure you have everything you need, whether it's your laptop, your tablet, your phone. Make sure it is fully charged.
Contact the office.
So in closing, we're going to have a very successful year. If you believe in yourself, this course is designed not to be stressful to you. So very important that you do your work and you'll be fine. Till Monday, we'll see you then. So as I mentioned in the introduction for the course, the focus of Modern History 11.2, Social Studies 10, Modern History 11.3 is going to be the historical thinking concepts. These are things that historians around the world collaborated on and decided that these are the 6 most important skills students should have coming out of history. But through my years teaching these skills, I realized these are skills that are really good to have no matter what course you're in, whether it's sciences, your English courses, your math courses. They all will help you be successful if you hone these skills. So the historical thinking concepts are skills that historians feel are necessary for a student to be able to think historically. Kind of self-explanatory, I guess. As a result, they're also the focus of Modern History 11.2, as I mentioned, Social Studies 10, and 11.3 History. The goal for this course is to teach you these 6 skills. The document below can be found in your Files tab of our teams. It's called Historical Thinking Concepts Guideposts. These documents will assist you in being successful with these skills. Again, the 6 skills, I'm going to start with the first one, historical significance. How do we decide what is important to learn about the past? Why do we study about World War I? Or why do we study about the Peloponnesian Wars or the Persian Wars? Or why do we study about the effects the Holocaust had on our society? We do it because they have an impact on us. Our world today is shaped by the history of whether it's Western Europe or the history of the ancient world. These things have shaped our world today. That's why we study them, so we can have a better understanding of our own world and our own selves. So historical significance, we decide what's important and what's significant in history based on how it impacts us. Historical evidence, it's great to have an opinion. Everyone has an opinion. All you have to do is go on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you kids use these days, and you'll see everyone has an opinion. But how many of those people with opinions have actual evidence to back it up? It's important if you have an opinion to back it up with evidence. Otherwise, your opinion is just water. It means nothing. It holds no purpose. So if you're doing an assignment and you're giving me an opinion or you're giving me an answer, support that answer with evidence. Without evidence, it's just rambling. So support it, and the better the evidence, the better the assignment. The stronger the evidence, the better the assignment is going to be. So evidence is very important. If you're going to have an opinion, have evidence. It's also very important to, if someone expresses an opinion and they give no evidence, well, it's a good idea to go research that to see if what they're saying is actually true. So evidence helps you with your own opinion, but it also helps give a stronger view of other people's opinions as well. The next historical thinking concept, continuity and change. There's an old saying that the more things change, the more they stay the same. Well, continuity change looks at that. How were things like in the past, and are they still the same in our present today? Have things changed? A perfect example of that is women's rights. In most of the history we're going to be looking at, women didn't have many rights, whether it's the ancient world, whether it's the modern world. For heaven's sakes, women in Canada have only been officially people under the law for about 100 years. That's crazy. So we can often look at history and how women are treated in the past, and we can still see those trends today. Now, mind you, we are making strides, but we have a heck of a long way to go before we have total equality between all people. So that's what continuity and change is all about. It's how things were in the past and how they've changed over time, if they've changed over time at all. Cause and consequence. Every consequence usually has a cause behind it. It's kind of like a science thing, physics. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Well, history's the same way. If there's an event, there's usually something that led to that event. So we'll be looking at the events that lead to events. So for my 11.2 students, next week we'll be looking at the French Revolution. We're going to look at what caused the French Revolution, what led the peasants to rise up and overthrow the king and overthrow the powers that be. Same with my Social Studies 10 students and Modern History 11.3 students. We'll be looking at many things that we're going to look at the cause behind it. And understanding the causes helps us understand why things happen and why they unfolded as they did. It's a good skill to have even today. If something happens and we want to understand better, we need to look at what caused it in order to figure out why it happened. Historical perspectives is all about seeing history through the eyes of other people. So it's putting yourself in the shoes of people that lived history. It's getting rid of our present day morals and our present day judgments and putting ourselves in the shoes of the people who lived the history and trying to figure out why they would feel the way they did and why they did what they did. So historical perspectives is all about putting yourself in history and trying to think like people in history. Ethical dimensions. This is where we get to put our present day morals into history. We'll be looking at events in history that have questionable circumstances. And for instance, like in modern history 11.2, we'll be looking at the dropping of the atomic bombs on Japan that killed tens of thousands of people. We'll be looking at the ethical questions, were the Americans justified in dropping those? That is a very ethical question. It gives you a chance to put your own morals and your own points of view into an assignment and of course supporting with evidence. So those are your 6 historical thinking concepts. On the page in your class notebook, under historical thinking concepts, you're going to see a series of 6 videos. Each of those videos are less than 10 minutes. If you watch each of those videos on your own time, you're going to get a better understanding of the skills that I'm expecting you to have by the end of the semester. At the very end of that page on historical thinking concepts, you're going to see a rubric. Now this rubric is different for the grade 10s and my 11.3s, but for the most part, they're quite similar. For instance, in my 11.2 history class, if you want to get 5 out of 5 on your word count, you need to give me at least 225 words of good words for your answer. In my 11.3 and grade 10 classes, I'm only expecting 200 words. So if you're shooting for a 20 out of 20 on my assignments, then you're looking at the 225 words to get 5 out of 5. In terms of evidence, you have an extremely well-written and argued answer with at least 2 strong pieces of evidence. If you only have 1 strong piece of evidence, you're going to lose marks. There goes your chance at a 20 out of 20. But if you have 2 strong pieces of evidence, that, as the next one, it says explanation, you give me a really good thorough explanation of that evidence, you're going to do very well on your assignment. The evidence and explanation parts of the rubric make up half the mark. Finally, all students in all their historical thinking concept assignments have to make a connection to our modern world. You'll be looking at the information that we've studied, and you'll say, well, how does that relate to the modern world? Because there's no sense of studying history if you can't connect it to our modern day life. So that's very important. A lot of students in the past, that's the part they always forget to do, and they end up losing 4 or 5 marks because they don't make a connection. So make sure before you hand in an assignment, you have made a connection to our modern world. So that's the course in a nutshell. When Track B students are here on Monday, we're going to dive right into the course. I'm going to assume that you've all watched this video on the introduction so you have an idea of what's going on in class. So on Monday, 11.2s are going to start with the French Revolution. My Social Studies 10 students are going to start with early humans. And the 11.3 history students are going to start right into the Industrial Revolution. So be prepared, Track B students, when we come in on Monday, that you are ready to go, okay? And as usual, if you have any questions, make sure you ask me. That's why they pay me $2 an hour, so I can answer your questions. And don't forget, don't repeat yourself. That's what we don't want history to be repeated. That's another reason why we learn history. So until Monday, have a great weekend, and we'll see you then.